Okay, so for video 3, I'm going to first start by discussing my PBL unit. So I decided that my students would develop a plant survival guide um, that they will they'll make a plant survival guide based on the findings that they have through growing plants um, and doing research um, on their own, seeing what worked for their plants, what didn't work for their plants, um, basically conducting experiments, and then treating their plants when they see that things aren't working how they thought they would or how they want them to work, and then taking their plants and seeing how they can affect the community, whether it's beautifying our school or other places in the community, or just gift giving to their family. My original design was maybe gifting plants for Mother's Day, and then kind of expanding it into the possibility. This really wasn't in my PBL plan, but the thought is there for me if I ever wanted to extend it, of creating maybe a small farmers market or a plant sale that some of maybe the high schools do, somehow working that way into elementary school, so they can get a good. I can even add, money counting and entrepreneurship and things like that into the unit as well. But that's a little bit further down the line. Um, so my drive-in question um, has been adjusted along the way. It now reads as, how can we grow healthy plants that benefit our community and teach others how plants survive? So the main point of the project is being able to comfortably explain what plants need and how they survive, and what works and what didn't work, and helpful tips and tricks, and being able to explain that to someone else. And also understanding how they do benefit the community, how they help our environment. Um, and so I chose this design because I really felt confident that I could choose this standard and integrate it with several other core testing standards. For instance, using math for graphing and recording, even area and perimeter in the blueprint designs, science with plant health and research, reading, also research based text, and then being able to take it, understand it, and use it by making predictions and testing those predictions. And then social studies too with community benefits. I just thought it was a good way to integrate a whole lot of stuff. And I kind of took something I did last year in my class, which was simply growing plants for Mother's Day. Um, and I tried to take that and expand it into this. Um, so, yes, I'm looking at my notes up here. Um, I would really like to implement more PBL in the future in my class. I know we've discussed this on Zoom, and I'm trying not to take up too much time, but my school is very curriculum based. As far as we have a curriculum, they expect us to follow it, that doesn't leave much room for project based learning. But I really want to learn how to integrate little bits and pieces of it to keep the kids engaged. And I do believe that there's a lot to be learned when you can integrate more than one standard at a time. I like that the driving question causes them to think about, okay, so how can these plants help the environment? How do they benefit the community? Like, what does that mean? I mean, first they have to understand that, then they can dive into how it actually happens. And so, yeah, I would really like to to do that more, make more connections between multiple subjects. Um, I chose for my students to take part in experiments that would start with basic plant research and then move into the benefits that they have on the community and the environment, and then taking their research to make predictions about their plants. When they plant them, they know what their plants need, or at least they think they know what they need, and then seeing what happens when they give it to them. Do they grow as big as you want? Were there any problems along the way? Did you have to adjust their water intake, their sunlight? Did you have to move them around? Um, and things like that. The different plants need different things. I don't just want to focus on one type of plant. I want to do multiple different types of plants so they can really see the difference in what the different plants need. The storyboard, I really liked doing that. I liked how it took the driving question and it took the whole plan, the backwards planning project, um, the backwards planning lesson plan and all that, and it kind of broke it down into sections, so it wasn't one whole big thing. It was, hey, we're going to start with this, and then the next couple weeks or days we're doing this, and the next couple days this and this. And so I like the structure of that storyboard. Mine specifically, it took I started with the one standard and then added another standard, and then kind of tried to incorporate how that standard and this standard go together, and then move forward that way. Um, I just like the breakdown of the storyboard, and I like that it gave it a visual, and I like that you can show your kids that so they can kind of see like easy, almost step-by-step ways of what this project is doing and how it's going to benefit them and the purpose behind what they're doing. Um, um, Looking at other classmates' storyboards, I really enjoyed doing that too. Again, I've struggled a lot with the PBL unit and how to bring learning to life and not just be a lecture kind of teacher. And so some of their storyboards were really elaborate, really great, and then some were more simple minded, like somewhat like mine, I feel like. And so it was easy I liked being able to see how a PBL plan has so many different layers to it. And it made, looking at some of the other ones made me feel like I could achieve it more on a normal basis. So I also feel like, I feel like I'm jumping around, but I'm trying to read my notes. Sometimes I feel like science standards get overlooked in schools. And so looking at, all the other classmates and their storyboards, it looked like a lot of them integrated science with other standards. And so I like seeing how you can fit those in together. I think that makes it more desirable for students. It makes them want to learn more. They enjoy science. And I think if you can add science and social studies in your course testing standard subjects, I think they're more likely to really retain the information. So I've enjoyed this module, or these past several modules. And yeah.